I'm working with a group of small entrepreneurs working on their SWOT analysis. And I was really surprised that this was something that nobody in the group knew what it was. Now, 20 years ago, this was something that was a really big deal in the world of business. All businesses looked at their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and their threats. And that was called a SWOT analysis. And early on in my sales career, even before I had my own business, I had a boss who really wanted every single person on his team to really get good at diving in and doing a SWOT analysis. And so in my heart, in my soul, this is an important part of growing your business, whether it's just your career and you're working inside a company and you're trying to figure out the next move, how to grow your sales or whatever your role is inside the company, or if you're a small business person or a solopreneur like I am, so that you can really get your hands around what it is you're trying to accomplish. So a SWOT analysis seems to have fallen out of favor. It doesn't seem to be something that's being taught to business people as much as it was a few decades back. So I thought I would record this short video where we would talk about my outlook on why doing a SWOT analysis is so important. And as we're about to launch into a brand new year, I'm actually taking 2 days off my calendar between Christmas and New Year's, and I'm going and I'm checking into a hotel, and I am actually working on my business plan for next year. And about 4 hours of those 2 days is dedicated to my SWOT analysis of my business. So as I said when I started, a SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is really important if you're trying to look ahead and set goals for the new year. Now, if you watch any of the videos on my channel, and please go back and look at some of them, I'm kind of all over the board. There's not like a totally narrow focus of what I'm trying to talk about on this channel, but I do have several videos about setting goals. And I think that having written goals that you strive for every day is a really important way to move yourself forward, no matter what you do for a living. So if you're trying to set goals for the new year, you want to make sure that you're understanding where you're starting from, what it takes to get there, and what you'll do once you achieve those goals. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel down below. Would appreciate that. Thank you very much. Just go ahead and push that button, hit subscribe. You can also hit that little bell so that you'll know when I post new videos. I'm kind of new to having any intention with making videos to share with people. So in 2022, I have a goal to actually create more videos that help the people who might follow this channel. Now, I'll be really honest, I'm not sure of the whole direction. I don't think I'm really good yet at making videos, but I'm committed to learning more about this medium and how to do it well. So let's talk about your SWOT analysis. Think about this for a minute. Take out a piece of paper and write down the big SWOT. The S is going to be your strengths. What are your strengths in business? What sets you apart from your competition? Come on, you know there's something. There's something that you do that just makes you that much better. It's just that thing that allows you to deliver your product or your service a little bit better than all of your competition. Write those things down. Some of it might be things that are in your control. It might be that you have a little bit more education. It might be that you work a little bit harder. There might be things that you can take care of, what those strengths are. Some of it might just be your location, or you're in the right place at the right time. It's okay. If it's a strength, if it's something that sets you apart from your competition, go ahead and write it down. And you probably should have several of these. I like to make sure that in each one of these, I'm getting somewhere between 3 and 7 different strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, it's a little harder for some of us to actually identify some of these things, but the strengths should be easy. So go ahead and just start scribbling down whatever comes to mind. No one else is going to see this. It doesn't have to be perfect. But what is it that makes you just a little bit stronger than all your competition? So once you've got that sort of figured out, then you move on to your weaknesses. Now, a lot of people don't like to really admit that they have weaknesses. They don't like to admit that there's some areas that they come up short compared to their competition. But let's face it, we all have areas in our careers, in our lives, whatever it is that we do, we all have areas where we know we should and could improve. And we all have areas that might be out of our control that we're not going to be able to improve upon, but we know it is a weakness when it really comes to comparing ourselves to our competition. So where are the areas that you come up short? Again, I want you to write down somewhere between 3 and 7 of these things, and I want you to be very honest with yourself. It's okay. You're not going to tell your customers, by the way, here's my list of my weaknesses. Although sometimes that may or may not be such a bad idea. But in this case, this is solely for you to be able to come up with your business plan. The SWOT analysis is simply a foundation before you start working on your goals and your strategies for next year. It's simply the base work. It's the groundwork for what you need to do so that you're coming at it from a truly honest and realistic standpoint. So write down the areas where you come up just a little bit under where you'd like to be, because part of what you'll want to do after you complete the SWOT analysis is you'll want to look for ways to improve. How can you eliminate some of those weaknesses? How can you get onto an equal ground or make them turn something into a strength to get ahead? Because every part of your SWOT analysis goes directly into your marketing and sales plan as well. Now, the O stands for opportunities. What are the opportunities that lie ahead for you in the next year? Is there some new markets that are opening up? Is there something that's going on in your industry that you are really, really well situated for? Now, these aren't the same things as your strengths. Opportunities are areas that you can go and capitalize on. You don't necessarily have them conquered yet, but there's certain things that are coming down the pipe that you know, if I handle this right, I could really score in the new year and move farther ahead of all of my competition. So again, you want to have 3 to 7 opportunities that you see coming ahead. So in my business as a professional speaker, one of the opportunities is after everything we went through with lockdowns and everything like that, in 2022, we're about to open up and have many more meetings that we've ever had before. And that leads us to threats, because in addition to having more meetings, there's also more competition in my business than ever. And that's a threat. I think somewhere along the line, there's probably twice as many speakers out there as there was just a few years ago. So that's a threat to my business. And that's what I want you to focus on now. What are the things that could derail you from getting those opportunities, from keeping old business that you have? What are the threats that are coming in? Is there some big player who's investing a lot of money in your area? Again, try to look for 3 to 5 threats that could derail your business so that you can build up a wall to keep those threats on the outside. Now, once you have all of these, spend some time looking at them. This video is only a few minutes long. This exercise should be several hours long because you really want to dive in. And then what I like to do is actually write about a page for every strength, every weakness, every opportunity, and every threat that I have to my business. I want it to be as clear as possible. I often long write them on large sticky pads, and I put them up on the wall of the room where I'm working on this. And I look at them and I move them around and I add other sticky notes so that I can talk about what I can do to shore up the areas where the threats are and what I can do to capitalize on the opportunity, how my strengths can be used in all of my marketing and sales, and how my weaknesses can either be conquered or, as I said before, some of the weaknesses that you might have aren't going away. So how can I make sure that they don't derail me? So spend some time really diving into this whole idea of your SWOT analysis. I'll tell you, I can't believe that I was working with some people who had never heard of this, because it's such a foundational thing in the way I look at business. And I'm doubling down as I go into 2022 on my own SWOT analysis, because I want to make sure that my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and my threats are very clear. Because 2022 for me, as I know it is for a lot of you, is a year that I have to turn things around. It is time for me to get out of the rut that has been created the last couple of years. And I want to be very clear on everything that's going on in and around my business, in and around my industry. So have you ever done this exercise before? Are you familiar with the SWOT analysis? Leave a comment down below. After you subscribe to the channel, go ahead and leave a comment. For some of you, this is totally elementary. You've probably already logged off of this video, but for others, you're really inspired by the thought of taking 4 hours to dive deep into these 4 areas, because if you do it right, it's going to give you a huge leg up on your competition. But you have to be honest about it, because the weaknesses and the threats scare most business people. They don't want to think about where they come up weak. They don't want to think about things that could change in their business. I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, if I had done this exercise in this manner, one of the threats I never would have written down would have been a global pandemic closing down the live meetings industry. And yet, as it turned out, that was the biggest threat to my business that was ever imaginable. But I never thought it was a possibility because I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to dive in to what the hard parts were. I'll tell you, for 2022, as I go in and do this work, I am going to be really honest about everything that could possibly derail my business. I want to know where those weaknesses are, and I want to know where those threats are so that nothing catches me off guard. But I also want to know the good stuff. I want to know the opportunities, and I want to know my strengths, because I want to marry those two things together, and I want to blow it out of the park moving forward. So I am enjoying working with the small group of entrepreneurs on creating their plans, because I think every single one of us in this group is going to nail it in the new year. So go get to work on your SWOT analysis.